The Apex situation is scary. It's only scary because we don't know, right? And for me, I'm excited about it because I'm like, I don't know how he did this. And the moment you said server ID, so excited because it's like we're getting a little bit closer to figuring this out. And I think the community is going to feel a lot better overall the more information that we can find out and determine for the methods. And my hope is that at the end of this trail, we find what's called a proof of concept, which is this is how the vulnerability is done, this is how the company fixed it, and this is how it's not going to happen again in the future. Full disclosure on that kind of stuff would be great. I don't know if they'll ever do that. I don't know if we'll ever get that, but that would be my hope.
They probably won't.
Yeah.
They probably won't. Was also someone actually brought up a good point. He can only see the server ID as soon as we're in the game, right?
Yes.
Like the performance display. But the thing is that everyone that is streaming has 10-minute delay on. So
yes.
When it actually happened on stream was when he finally got the server ID. 10 minutes into the game. Which would make sense on he actually needs the server ID or the performance display to inject these hacks.
That's exactly what it is.
Because both times when it happened to me and Jen Burton, it was like I don't know the timestamp. Like I said, it might have been like 10 minutes later into the game. I'm not sure, but it might have been before 10 minutes later or 10 minutes before. I'm not sure, but I would have to look at the timestamp. But yeah, they were saying Jen was on round 4, mine was round 2. So when it happened to me, it was earlier into the game. So maybe it was because I don't know if that was because it was the same code, but yeah, that might not be like the right theory, but because the first time it happened, it was later into the game, so maybe it caught up the delay and then it happened. But for me, it happened earlier, so it might not be true.
I mean, I think that's really interesting because if the timing lines up, it again, server ID seems the most likely. Server ID absolutely seems the most likely for this. It looks like also, I was sent an image just now. So this happened on Hal's screen after he made him install Malwaresbyte 30 to 120 minutes after the incident. Where when you ran Malwarebytes, did it say, because there showed me an image, I want to confirm this. Did it say that there was an inbound connection with an IP address?
Yeah, someone showed me that. Yeah, I didn't see that when I was like streaming or doing that. Like I never saw that. But people were telling me that like, hey, your IP got leaked, blah 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 blah. I never saw it. So I didn't watch on VOD and see if that actually happened. But
so they've got a screenshot here for me. And I'm not going to show it on stream, obviously, because I don't know if it's your IP address. It looks like it's actually the attacker's jump box.
Yeah, it might be.
It is. I wouldn't show that anywhere. But is that not your IP at the end of that URL there?
That is not mine.
Okay, I'm not surprised. So the reason why this is interesting is that IP address, if you run it through VirusTotal, is actually showing that it's running as malicious. There's a shitload of malicious hits on that, and that screenshot shows that there was an inbound connection to your computer from that IP address over port 135 on your stream. There's a screenshot for it. I think this dude had direct access to your machine. I don't think it's RCE. With this evidence right here, I think there was direct access to your machine.
Yeah, on the link you posted, do I have to click on that, or is it just a number at the end of the link?
You can just click on it. Yeah, you can click on it to pull this up to see exactly what that is. Yep. So I'm going to pull this up now because we can confirm that this is the case, right?
Yeah, this is definitely not mine. So how was there a chance that his IP somehow just showed up on my screen?
So what that is Malwarebytes detected that there was an inbound connection from another IP address, from a server. This guy it's not his actual IP. It's likely what is called a jump box, which is if you look on, can you see my stream right now?
Yep, I see it.
So if this is your machine, we would expect the attacker's machine to directly interface with you, but that's not how this works. They generally have what's called a jump box in between, which is either another machine that has been compromised or a machine that they are renting in some way, usually using cryptocurrency in some way like that. Then the attacker has their machine out here. The attacker then connects to the jump box in some way, usually over a public line so that they don't trace it back to their home address or their home ISP. If they're not a dumbass, if they are a dumbass, then they use their home ISP and it becomes trivial to catch them once you start digging enough. Once the bloodhound is on your case, it just, it starts to unravel. So that jump box that we can go and look at that is actually a DigitalOcean ASN. Let's go see who owns that machine, because that machine is connecting to your machine over port 135, and we have the IP address for that. Port 135 is Windows RPC, and it looks like it's been flagged by a number of security vendors. I'd like to know what that IP address is and who owns that. That's the big question right now. Who owns this? Let's go see. This is the kind of stuff that I do when we're doing like any type of investigation, by the way. It's my assumption it's a jump box. Yeah, so this is the kind of stuff that I love looking up, because you're like, who is this? What is this? IP2 location. It looks like it's actually in the United States. Provider is Tunnel Bear. Domain is digitalocean.com. Server for rent. Yeah, server for rent. 100%. Normal stuff. So likely this is a rented server from a dude that's using this for attacks. There's your attacker. There's his jump box. We have his jump box. So what they could do at this point is, now that we know the IP address that connected to your machine, they can now take that, go to DigitalOcean and say, hey, we have a box that connected to this player's machine at the time of this event, is a known attack one that shows up on VirusTotal. Who's paying for that box? You got your man. That's an option now. That wasn't an option at the beginning of this call, and now that's an option.
Yeah.
That's how that stuff happens. Really, really fast. Yep. Because somebody has to pay for the box, unless it's a compromised box, which it could be. Then you got to start over. You got to keep looking, right? So these are the types of things that you look for, is you're like, oh, there's a loose thread here. Let's pull it until we unravel this sweater. This is a piece of a thread. Basically, you keep it in the back of the Batman belt, and you're like, I've got this. Let's see where that goes. I think this is really interesting, though, the fact that this actually showed up in your stream. So I'm going to show you guys what this image was, just so you can get an understanding, because it's on the VOD. This is public information now.
Yeah.
But this is what showed up on your stream. And it said port 135, which is Windows RPC, IP address, which is going to be 107.170.2365, inbound, which means it's a connection to your machine from a known attack machine, specifically on there. And that known attack machine is a rented machine on DigitalOcean. Like, that's basic smoking gun shit for me. I'd be like, oh, okay, so that's the attacker's machine. Because why else would you have an inbound connection there that Malwarebytes is keying on, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And that's not your IP, so.
But isn't this just like a temporary solution to like the issue? Or I guess like banning the guy?
It's not a temporary solution when you arrest the dude, right?
Well, I guess, yeah. But...
You arrest the dude, you find out the methods. You find out the methods or arrest the dude. Either. Or both, frankly, right? There's always a way to go once you find out. You want to find out who's doing this. And this is an option. Unfortunately, it looks like he made a bit of a mistake. And because he made a bit of a mistake, you got a piece of information that could lead to finding out who he is and what he's doing. And that's very useful for the people on the defense side. Every time the attacker makes a misstep, every time they screw up like that, a little piece of that thread falls out of that sweater until you know exactly who they are. It is always about the enemy making too many mistakes every time. So, I'm interested in that. Wait and see. Wait and see where that goes.
I'm surprised that I think Jen Burn might have like fully wiped his PC, which is maybe why it didn't pop up on his screen. Because I don't think it never popped up on his screen ever.
It could have been the moment you ran it. That means the connection was active at the time. The attacker can terminate that connection at any time. You may have just caught it while the connection was still active. You got lucky.
Yeah, and that was his mistake.
Yeah, it's his mistake.
Yeah.
All of this stuff, a lot of people don't realize is the attacks between offense and defense in scenarios like this, 100% of those are going to be a clever developer versus a clever developer. And it's basically like a standoff of who's going to screw up first. Because someone's going to make a mistake. But the problem for the attacker side is they basically, in this case, he has to be perfect every time because he's actively attacking and he has to obfuscate who he is. If he makes any mistake, like here, at any time, it can unravel the whole thing. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you track his machine from the jump box? Depends. So, like, next steps that happen from there, right, is you've got trying to find out who owns the box, trying to find out who pays for the box. Is the box actually compromised? If he is accessing that box remotely, where is he accessing it from? Does that actually lead back to his home? Does that lead back to a country that has extradition rights to the United States? If it has extradition rights to the United States, do you extradite him? Can you? What is the age of the person? Is he under 18? Right? There's so many variables that spin out of that. But really what it comes down to is, who owns that box? Why is that box connecting to this dude's machine? That's a lot of questions, right? So there had to be some way for him to direct what was going on in your machine. This was likely the way that he directed what was going on in your machine. Not through the game client, through this connection over port 135 from a known attack server. That is infinitely more likely. Because you have to puppeteer the machine. It's not just going to do it on its own. You puppeteer it from range. And he's puppeteering probably over that connection, if that makes sense.
So this clarifies more so that Apex is not like in danger. Just more so like he just got access to my PC.
I don't see evidence of Apex having RCE. It does not mean that it's impossible, but I still don't see evidence, while I do see evidence of him having direct access to your machine, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it is still technically possible that Apex has RCE. I don't see evidence of it. I do see evidence of this. This is now provable with this. In your case, we see that he had direct access to your machine. Now, the interesting part is we don't know where that access started. We don't know how the access started. So that does still leave open the possibility of something being wrong with Apex, though no proof. Still no proof. We have to wait. Yeah. We need more info. And we could get that. Just takes time. This is why when you see developers like, oh man, the developers aren't doing anything, they're doing this. You have to wait for the attacker to keep screwing up. You just keep picking at the thread. You keep pulling at the sweater. Little pieces here and there. You keep building it up into this big thing, and then you're like, now we got him. Right? That's why it takes a long time. It always does.
Yeah, well, we'll see if we have the tournament again, because I'll be playing on this setup, so we'll see if it happens again, and if it does, then it was on a completely brand new PC, like not even untouched. So.
Cool, man. So yeah, if you have any other information, hit me up. I'm always around. If you want to talk, I'm always around too.
I got you. I'm glad to meet you, and the conversation was good. I think chat and everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will talk to you later, dude.
Yeah, have a good one.
See ya.
Bye. That was crazy. I felt dumb in the call with him, I'm not gonna lie. But that's just because if I was talking about Apex, I'd probably make him feel dumb.